Kuji was a traveler who found herself in a vast, complex maze, feeling lost and desperate for a way out. One day, as she wandered through the labyrinth, a shadowy figure appeared, gliding along the walls. This ethereal guide seemed to know the maze intimately. It moved with confidence and an air of authority that immediately reassured Kuji. The shadow spoke in a smooth, compelling voice, crafting intricate escape plans that involved left turns, right turns, and hidden passages. "Stay close," it whispered. "I know what's best for you. There are dangers around every corner. Trust me, I'll keep you safe." Its confidence was infectious, and Kuji followed it eagerly, feeling a renewed sense of hope. And as she navigated the maze, the shadow described the dangers lurking around every corner. With vivid detail, "Watch out," it warned. "There are people who will judge you harshly just ahead. They will ostracize you if you make a mistake. Stay with me, and I'll guide you through." The shadow's descriptions were so convincing, so precise, that Kuji couldn't help but believe it. And each warning reinforced her trust, keeping her close and reliant on its guidance. The fear of failure and judgment kept Kuji closely attached to the shadow, trusting its every word. The shadow continued, "There are unseen threats around every corner. People are out to get you, waiting for you to slip up. Only I know how to navigate these treacherous paths. Trust me, and you'll stay safe." The fear of the unknown, the hidden enemies, and constant potential threats bound Kuji to the shadow's guidance. What Kuji didn't realize was that the exit, the door to freedom, was always there. It had been within reach all along, but the shadow's purpose was to make sure she avoided it at all cost. The shadow knew that if she found the door and stepped out, its existence would end. It thrived on her fear, her confusion, and her dependency. The shadow was a master of deception, convincing Kuji that without it she'd be lost and vulnerable. The shadow said, "The path might look safe, but it's filled with hidden traps. You can't see them, but I can. Trust me. I will guide you." And because she didn't know, because she couldn't see what the shadow claimed to see, she believed it. She felt she had no other choice but to rely on its knowledge. Imagine the constant anxiety Kuji felt, always thinking about what would be lurking behind every corner and what might happen next. The fear that making a mistake would cost her dearly, her sanity, stability, or even life, created a never-ending cycle of dread. Kuji became so vigilant that missed everything else outside of the survival story given by the shadow guide. She completely overlooked all the green flags, her best opportunities in her life. And then where there were the red flags. Kuji met her boss, who was a director of a marketing company, at a networking event. He disrespected her from day one, but she didn't even see it. The shadow insisted she needed these people, that they were the only options she had. This story was so powerful and convincing that she believed it. She worked for him for years. Dead-end, ungrateful job, and Kuji feared every morning that she might be replaced. In the evening, she found solace in relaxation videos, and she was able to fall asleep soundly despite the hard time at work. Kuji also stayed in toxic relationships and superficial friendships, always postponing that truly mattered to her, until later, because the shadow said, "Don't risk it." It whispered, "You might lose everything." Hoping, waiting, the clock is ticking. The shadow's voice was so compelling that Kuji stopped looking for the door out of the maze. It convinced her there was no door, only endless paths to navigate. "Keep going," it said. "Keep trying, you're almost there." And whenever Kuji gathered the courage to think that there might be more to life, the shadow immediately warned her of new dangers. "If you stray from this path, you'll face judgment, failure, humiliation. You'll end up alone, and when we are alone, our chances to survive are very small." The shadow kept her stuck in places with no progress, convincing her to settle for mediocrity, to ignore her desires and aliveness. This took a great toll on Kuji. She was surrounded by people who didn't truly value her, in situations that drained her, because the shadow had spun such a convincing story. The shadow told her to avoid the green flags of genuine connection and opportunity, and to ignore the red flags of toxic relationships and dead ends. It was a master of deception, keeping her in this perpetual state of anxiety and dependency. And then, one time, however, Kuji mastered the courage and ventured beyond the confines of its oppressive guidance and discovered something that truly brought her joy, pursuing her dream of writing a book. Kuji had always wanted to be an author, but life's responsibilities and the shadow's constant warnings had kept her from ever starting. And on this particular day, she decided to write. She sat down at her desk, the blank page in front of her, and she began to type. Words flowed effortlessly, her imagination coming to life on the page. She was writing about her relentless journey through the maze, capturing the endless twists and turns and her unwavering faith in the shadow's guidance. She poured her heart into her words, describing how sometimes, through the cracks in the walls, beams of light would seep through, touching her with this inexplicable warmth. This light, though she didn't fully understand it, filled her with fleeting moments of freedom and joy. The joy she felt when writing was intoxicating, a pure, unfiltered expression of her soul, and for the first time in years, she felt alive, connected to her true self. But the shadow, always watchful, began to whisper insidiously into her ear, dripping poison into her newfound happiness. "You are so selfish. How dare you to spend time on yourself when there are so many responsibilities waiting for you? What kind of person neglects their duties for a frivolous dream? And also stupid," it continued, "relentless. You are wasting precious time. Do you really think anyone will ever want to read what you write?" The shadow struck even deeper. "Remember when you were at school and you wrote that poem you were so proud of? Your teacher told you it was childish. You've never been a good writer. Why start now?" Kuji's heart sank as she remembered the sting of her teacher's words, and the excitement she had felt while writing began to fade, replaced by doubt and insecurity. "Wait until you have more time and more money. Right now, you simply cannot afford to waste time on this. It's difficult to market a book," the shadow said, its tone reasonable yet crushing. You have no experience, and there is too much competition. And so the guilt wrapped around Kuji like chains, heavy and unyielding. The joy she felt before completely disappeared. And the shadow's voice became her own, and she retreated back into the maze, back to the comfort of familiar suffering. It hurt less to stay within the shadow's boundaries than to endure the guilt of stepping outside them. You're simply unprivileged in your situation to do something new, the shadow whispered. What will people say when they see that you are pursuing a childish dream? You don't have enough money to waste on riding supplies, mentors, courses. You should be saving, not spending. You are not as good as others. Your writing is mediocre at best. Who would ever want to read it? Nobody needs your stories. Focus on what's practical, what's necessary. And so guilt was a powerful weapon, and Kuji felt its sting deeply. It was the guilt that kept her trapped, making her believe that any step towards her own happiness was a betrayal of her responsibilities, her worth, and her place in the world. And so she stayed in the maze, and the shadow's whispers convincing her that this was where she belonged. Eventually, Kuji grew exhausted and resigned. She settled for situations and people that didn't feed her heart and soul because venturing out was just too painful and anxiety-inducing. Yet the door, the exit, was always there, bathed in bright light with no shadows, just pure clarity. But as Kuji started to question the shadow's intentions and its plan, she opened her journal, filled with notes from every escape plan the shadow had given her. And the realization hit her like a punch to the gut. The shadow had been leading her in circles. Each path was a dead end, each promise a mirage. She looked at the shadow, still whispering about the next turn, and suddenly the truth dawned on her. The shadow never intended to help her to find the exit. Its purpose was to keep her in the maze, to keep her searching and seeking, to ensure she never found the door. The shadow thrived in the maze, feeding off her confusion and dependency. And the real reason it warned her about the dangers was to keep her scared and reliant on it. This shadow, which she trusted implicitly, was nothing more than a deceiver. It had been manipulating her all along, so she would remain lost in the maze, and its survival depended on her ignorance and fear, as it could not survive in direct light. It would do anything to keep her in the maze, and it was a master convincer. So, the maze represents uncertainty. The shadow was the false self, the knower, the reasonable voice in her head with a plan that convinced her that it knew what was best for her and for her future. But when Kuji saw the door, the clear, undeniable truth, she understood that she had been following a fraud. The shadow, which had seemed so authoritative and knowledgeable, was merely a figment of her own imagination, a belief, a mirage. And with this realization, she stepped into the light. And in that moment, everything changed. There was clarity and freedom, and the light was not just a physical illumination, but an awakening to her true nature. She saw that the shadow was not a real entity. It had no substance, no reality on its own. And when this was recognized, it was also clear that his plan to escape the maze was not real as well. As Kuji stood in the light, the weight of her past fears and anxieties dissolved as if they've never existed in the first place. She realized that she didn't need to relax or relieve her anxiety. It just became a distant memory, a funny meme. Anxiety was a product of her false self, the part of her that clung to control and certainty. There is only support. And if you are like most people, you might think, that's just not true. I feel so alone. I feel so unsupported. There's nobody around, nobody understands, nobody can see me. It is a regular human experience. But by the end of this video, I assure you that you will see the support for what it really is. That there is absolutely nothing that is not supporting you. And by having this view, we go from suffering to ending suffering. And that brings me to the question of what is suffering? Because again, when we don't take the time to really look at what it really is, we have an idea about it. We think about it as something unpleasant or pain. But that's not what suffering is. You can go to the gym and work out really hard and feel a lot of pain. But that's not suffering. Or you can go to a yoga class and do all kinds of stretches and it hurts. But that's not suffering. So what is it and how is it different? Suffering means that you are simply enduring a situation. And the reason why you are enduring a situation is because deep inside, if there was such a thing as deep inside, you basically have an idea about it. You have an idea that it should look different, whether we are aware of this or not. So this idea exists in the timeline, in the storyline in our heads. It's completely imagined, made of nothing than images and thoughts, and it tells you what is the best for you, what is the best for everybody else, and how your actions will have consequences that are either good for you or bad for you. And so we base all our decisions and the way we are according to this story. And we fail to notice what is actually happening in reality. And we are so identified with the story that we believe it 100% to be true. When I speak to my clients about assumptions, they never think they are assumptions. They believe that that is the truth. So it's really hard to look at our assumptions because we don't see them for what they are. And so a lot of people believe that the end of suffering has to happen sometime in the future. And again, you are in the realm of story. There is before and after. Before there was suffering, then something happened, and then there wasn't suffering. It is a story. And so we are in the realm of duality. But the end of suffering is not in the realm of duality. It is in non-dual quality, if I had to put some words on it. And it doesn't unfold as we imagine as a story. It doesn't unfold in a linear manner as we believe. no matter how much we believe this. The end of suffering is an invitation for you to look at your life as it is right now. We're trying to do all the right things in order to have some better future sometime, once we have more money, better mental stability, a better partner, anything, or less problems. But the end of the suffering only happens now. And now is not a moment in time. Now is simply what happens without the story, without what we imagine. Because the timeline, the storyline in your imagination is very deceptive. And so we categorize our experience as something either good or bad, with having either good or bad consequences for us in the future. And so we miss all the support. We don't see the support that is being offered in these inexplicable, unexpected ways. And one great way to end suffering is to recognize the whole support, the entire support that is holding you always and already, even now, no matter what your mind thinks about it. Things like, oh, what do you have to do? And sometimes we focus only on the support that's obvious, all the good things, and we practice gratitude. We are so grateful for all these amazing things that are happening in our lives. But when we lose them, then what? And so all these unexpected support happens, even and especially with things and people that we don't expect. Every person in your story, in your life, is supporting you in those unimaginable ways. It is simply being shown to you what you are still not paying attention to. Whether they are doing something to you that you label as preferred or not so preferred, it is supporting you. It can be in an obvious way, like they're inspiring you, or somehow doing something, saying something, feeling something about you that makes you feel good, or the opposite. And in that case, that is the support that it's always missed, or for the person who lives in the timeline, that's almost nearly always missed, because we fail to see that they are supporting you in a much deeper way. They are really supporting you in the way to realize your true value, to really realize and see what it is that what you truly want. And eventually they are supporting you in the realization what you truly are. Because that realization doesn't happen out of comfort. And so, I don't know what your situation right now is, but I know that you are fully supported. If there is any stressful situation or anything that you are enduring or tolerating, that's because you're actually receiving some benefits within that story. And so the story can go on And the end of it, the end of the suffering, is by recognizing that support and embracing it for what it really is, and finding gratitude for not only that support that feels good at first, but also the one that we have to look a little bit deeper, the one that is a little bit hidden from the people and situations that we'd rather avoid. And the moment we stop avoiding and trying to change them in our minds by wishful thinking they should be different, they should feel different, they should say something different. The moment when that stops, we are able to see and really look, and we simply let them to be exactly who they are. And that's the moment where we can see the support, that they are actually supporting you all the time, always, and already. In becoming your highest potential, which is presence